So recording.
Awesome. Well, hello everyone. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm James Simburis. I'm part of CodeNDAO. We've done a lot of work in token engineering and cadCAD modeling around creating a collaborative cultural economy, looking into new ways to fund and support art projects. That's our focus as a DAO, and I'm very happy to be on this call.
Okay, I go next. I'm Sebnem, Sebnem from Freelio. It's become an open innovation collective, and we're still collecting. But I've been, since I left Siemens in 2016, I gradually grew into token engineering, and I think since 2018, 2019, I'm fully immersed, and around, spring last year we came out of the rabbit hole with, okay, we kind of know what we're doing. Let's lay out this process. So I'm currently working on the crowdsourced, crowdfunded book, A Hitchhiker's Guide to Token Engineering, which has a chapter which really focuses also on the usage of cadCAD. Yeah, and basically learning and studying a lot and trying to help this disseminate the knowledge at the same time. So I'm part of the cadCAD educational outreach group. Angela, do you want to go next?
Okay, hello, I'm Angela Kreitenweiss, co-founder Token Engineering Community, and work together with Sebnem and others for designing the program of Token Engineering Academy. Currently, I'm also working with Powerpool and Balancer and Ethic Hub on an AMN grant, and really looking forward to 2021 because I think there'll be a lot of great developments around making cadCAD models more, let's say, more visible, more work around cadCAD models and more projects. And I hope we can contribute to the dissemination of knowledge around cadCAD with TE Academy. Cool. Maybe next.
Would you like to take someone else, Angela?
Yeah. Hi everyone. My connection is probably pretty bad, so I'll stay without video. I'm Jakub. I have participated in Angela's and Sebnem's Value Flows course, preparing second year of my university course, Peer-to-Peer Commons and Digital Identity, Masaryk University, and I'm very curious in how cadCAD is developing and what's going to be possible.
Go next. I'm Sparrow. I was on the first token engineering course, Ecosystem Value Flows, with Angela and Sebnem, working on data invisible economy. I've also worked with James a bit on Hackumenta, and also currently involved in the metagame community and how that uses source cred to distribute tokens for value.
Awesome. I might jump in. I guess at this point I'm more of a fanboy than anything else. I've been around when it sort of started, and I think it's quite interesting as to what the potential is in terms of modeling and what can be used for in practice. So although I'm sort of dipping in and out of the progress of it, I'm keeping a keen eye. I'll pass it on to Barnaby.
Hi everyone, I'm Barnaby. I work for the Ethereum Foundation. I've used cadCAD over the last year to simulate some parts of the Ethereum protocol EVE2, EIP 1559. If you're interested, actually, I was speaking in the community call, either the first one or second one. Yeah, I'd love to be here. Very curious to know what 2021 holds for us all and for simulation more particularly.
I think Vikram's the last one.
Hey everyone. I'm Vikram. So I'm just here to learn, really. I'm a former space systems engineer. I left that and did a bit of data analysis and data development since 2016 and kind of dabbled into blockchain a bit. Got caught into the token engineering and complex systems engineering part of blockchain because it was similar to some of the space stuff that I'd done probably a few months ago, and I've kind of past month going more full-time on it. I'm working on a project in the space sort of ecosystem, so I'm thinking of using cadCAD. Sort of dabbled into it already, but nothing, no deep dive as yet using cadCAD. So this will be my first one in that project that I'm doing.
Cool. Vikram, is it space?
Yes, space.
Super cool. So I think this round is just gorgeous. So yeah. Cool. And yeah, look forward to it. Shall we just jump right in?
I think we can jump right in. It's 11:12 now. Okay. So, Sebnem, take it away.
Yes. That's so cool. There we go. cadCAD. Okay, you can see the stream. I'm going full screen. So, literally, I think the last, or like cadCAD open source, the community calls, and in between anything that came out of the cadCAD community, September, October, November, it's been mind-blowing and it's been extremely useful. So I won't get into those. I definitely recommend, going back and then looking at all the previous cadCAD community calls where also token engineering models, mathematical and conceptual models of primitives like modeling curves, etc., have been discussed a lot. I want to put cadCAD in token engineering context for real, okay, and meaning really not leaving out anything that is unknown to us, but really say, okay, token engineering is this multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary field, and we have this Cryptoeconomics flower. It has many petals, and today I'm going to focus on the last 3 petals and basically also pinpoint beyond using cadCAD for, mathematical modeling and computer simulations. That's a given. We have that now. And in token engineering context, we can now really focus or refocus on how we actually get to the conceptual models that don't break at every corner. And also how we can create simulations, right, that are actually more participatory, right? It's not that I, as a token engineer, developed this model, got some requirements, developed the model, and spin up some simulations and have beautiful looking graphs, and no one gets it. So that's view beyond that. And but what I will be presenting is, work in progress, insights that we see are on the next, cliff. So we gotta do some hill climbing. However, I want to give you the lay of the land. I want to tell you that we have all of the people on board who can help us make more sense and get this practice more stable. Yeah, that's basically it. So let's go in and first of all clarify or refresh what is token engineering. We say it's a new art of doing science and engineering in this field in the domain of cryptoeconomics. This flower is from the Cryptoeconomics Foundation's paper of Sherman and Zargam. And basically, as you see, it has the petals, of course, economics and game theory, and on the other hand, computer science and cryptography. This is how we started. This is where we said, okay, these are the main fields, mechanism design, and that was most of 2017, 2018. Then when we got more into into the weeds and realized, okay, this is complex adaptive systems, well, that's where Block.Science and also Zargam trends really shined on because of mostly their background coming from operation research, systems engineering, AI, optimization control theory, and what Vikram mentioned, systems engineering. These are also settled industries where we had pretty quick, as engineers, pretty quick appreciation. Yes, we need that, and we go for it. But we're not done. We're not done on the above this engineering heavy petals, but we at least know how to configure our tools and how to bring in our multidisciplinary knowledge. The translation there is not such a big leap. However, at least for me, being a computer science, having learned from systems engineers, etc., still a huge thing to get your toes into was philosophy, law, ethics, psychology and decision science, political science and governance. But we have to go through that. And the Token Engineering Commons, which we are basically prepping now, allows or will allow us exactly to focus on this, without going back into typical silos that emerge because of misaligned incentives and, where's the money, research money talks, but actually create a Token Engineering Commons that enables us to create this transdisciplinary frameworks and insights and really have an integral framework. So the map of this talk,
sorry to interrupt. Can I ask a quick question? Is the are the slides actually flashing for anyone else? Are the slides blinking every now and then, or is that just me? Okay, so maybe it's just me then. Okay, so sorry about that. Oh, yeah, I think it might be. If no one else has the problem, it must be my side.
I think I need to not go full screen if anyone else has the problem as well.
Yeah. So, Angela or James, is the screen blinking for you with the slides? Anyone else there?
It's been okay for me.
Okay, good. Okay, thanks. I'll sort it out on my side. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good, because it could have been that it doesn't show for everyone else either. But please tell me, I could try not going full screen, and that might help. Let me just try.
No, I think it's if it's just me, it's just my side. So just ignore that. I'll sort it out as we go. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. So basically the map, we have some useful links. Definitely will not go through them, leave them for later. But definitely we'll go again, what is cryptoeconomics? Again, these three layers, economics, game, theory, mechanism design, computer science, cryptography, etc. Especially also, optimization, control theory. These are the things that I'm not going into. But if you, just binge watch the previous community calls, you will find insight into those. I want to mostly also bring in the view of, okay, how do we actually, as humans, make decisions? Because we know that economic models, bounded rationality or irrationality, where it's super, super simplistic to the point that they're harmful. And for our purposes in creating, robust token economies, they're literally not useful. So we need to bring on the modeling insights from all of these dimensions. And if you go, for example, what cadCAD allows, not just describing system dynamics, which are the control functions, the policies that we define as algorithmic policy makers, but actually go beyond and go into or enable an integrated agent-based modeling as well. There, we can do Monte Carlo simulation, basically simple rules, and see how this collective, or see what insights we get from the simulations. However, we need to make clear that we have more models, actually accessible models to draw from. So we should definitely go into those as well. And basically complex adaptive systems means these systems or token networks operate between chaos and order. So chaotic is another model that I've picked up quite recently, but it's an old model. It's the one that the Visa CEO and creator came up with in the 70s. And it's pretty amazing how well it fits. And then the next thing cadCAD can do is basically, we have this computer model, we can run computer simulations. But also, we have to ask ourselves, coming from, this is the tool, its capabilities, and this is the context, really huge transdisciplinary, and, our goal to consciously deal with this complexity and not just be reductionist, like typical economic models have been until now. In this context, how do we actually order? From first principles, yes, it's easy said, but how does that thinking from first principles work when you just don't think in physical, quantifiable systems, easily quantifiable systems, but when your system is actually a socio-economic dynamic system? So for me, coming from computer science, it's new. Okay, and I believe many of, coming from systems engineering, there is somehow a clear separation that humans are somewhat not inside the system. So that doesn't hold for our token economics anymore. I just linked some aspects, because we rely heavily, or want to rely heavily on mathematical modeling. Again, we need to make sure that we don't go fully cargo code, but actually realize that reality is not, a cosmic constant. So useful links, we can discuss how you can use them to onboard or make more sense, but I won't go into that. But actually, again, set the stage. cadCAD as a tool is a complex adaptive dynamics, and it allows us to do model and data-driven optimizations, theories, assumption models, as well as the real-world deployments. On the left, basically, you can use it as a better Excel. You can do financial engineering, business model simulation, you can do network effects, see how your marketing adoption model works. These are super useful, but in token engineering or in cryptoeconomics, in participatory networks, we could also build upon cadCAD and use it as a tool for thought and communication. Really, those simulations help us think in complex systems help us see non-linear dynamics, which, as we know, human brains are not wired to understand. And the whole of 2020 showed us that we don't get along well with actual complexity. So, and that, help with our thinking and communication is definitely needed in token economies. So you can use it to, flash and really get your investors on board. But we can also really make use of it to actually bring everyone on board. And that's what we need for token engineering. Again, cryptoeconomics, the context, and repeat after me, it's not only crypto plus economics. The differentiator really is that token economies are participatory. We say that so easily, but if your token model can only be parameterized by polymaths, then you don't have actually a participatory system. So this is the gap that we need to close, and we can close if we take full advantage of all of the models of our transdisciplinary community. Again, to make that point one more time clear, we can have the same thing with decentralization. Same, finance, investors, traders get along and make a lot of money, and number goes up infinitely forever, right? And that's most of what DeFi 2020 felt like, right? Investors and traders make a lot of money because they have discovered a new field. What would be really different is if we could get these decentralized finance to a place where it is really participatory. Anything, anyone, and any organization, if they could use finance as a feature and not rely on entire sectors, if decentralized or not. That's what I like to think forward is, what if finance becomes a feature? How could we make that really accessible to everyone? And that requires, and we speak of these things, but we don't really go after them, or we have not yet, or we are just starting. But if we really go after participatory networks, the ideal of token economies, then we need to enable autonomy, self-sovereignty, agency, sense-making for myself. How do I make sense in this, complex adaptive system that I'm a participant of? And interdependence. It doesn't work without the others. We need to collaborate and not outcompete. And basically, how do we build consensus in global networks, right? The internet is global, but definitely not a place of consensus, or the web as we know it. On the contrary, it's really degrading, right? So these are the things that we need to enable. And first and foremost, we need to enable those for ourselves. As token engineers, we need to be able to make sense ourselves, check our consistency. Are we legitimate? Are we enabling participation? Check the requirements, but also check our own biases that we might be bringing in. And again, I'm not saying token engineer is the first participant, and token engineer is the ex-CEO, the ex-CFO, the ex-legal counsel, right? These are our token engineers. This is the context. And cadCAD hopefully will enable, or will be a tool which will enable us to actually increase autonomy and interdependence, sense-making, and consensus. So for that part, that's why I'm saying, we need to focus. cadCAD gives us the ability to, have these stock and flow diagrams, differential specifications. All are really nice, visual, clean ways to improve your mathematical modeling, and from that mathematical model actually create a computer model for simulations. This is given, really go and do the cadCAD Foundations bootcamp, binge watch all the tutorials. This is what we have. And, the math is never the problem. In the 2008 financial crisis, the math was right, the assumptions were wrong. That's the cautionary tale, right? So on one hand, in token engineering, we say the best practices use what works, and we're fully behind that, but also avoid cargo cult token engineering. That means don't just repeat and see whether it works or not, and then if it doesn't work, have no clue why, but actually really work on your conceptual model, how you arrive at a conceptual model, and how you simulate that model, meaning how you validate, verify, and validate it. So again, how do we form assumptions? That's a question that isn't settled yet. Okay, systems engineers learn that in their system engineering course for modeling a system, but we have not settled this question for a participatory token network and as engineers as participants in that network. And secondly, how do we test those assumptions? Okay, again, that is not yet settled. We have a perfect launch pad, but it's not yet settled. So I want to introduce you to some very, very new concepts. Ecosystem value flows is the most settled one, but it's very fresh. We have this course that has run in the second cohort, etc. So we have some validation of that it is helpful. But we also introduced new conceptual models like CAORD, or chaotic organization, coordination, and FEB4Relate, which I go into a bit more detail. And then looking at what we can rethink in our simulation models is, yes, we do our computer simulations. These are the basics for the ones who can read those, right? But then also games with participants, and that's new. However, that is also quite settled. I mean, I haven't heard any objections. And also cadCAD as a framework, it's a differential games engine, right? It definitely enables us to go that way. And another thing that is becoming best practice, and rightly so, although it scares the hell out of me, for example, is test in prod. However, we need to find ways to actually, after having made sure that we simulated and that we, created this not in production simulations with participants, namely games, that actually we also have experiments in the real system where things can go wrong without breaking everything. Okay, so, well, this is basically the takeaway, right? How do we form assumptions? How do we test assumptions? This is the new hill climbing we're currently doing. And we have a very new addition into the token engineering community with Fabian, who's a computer scientist and has dug really deep into, philosophy, ethics, law, as well as, decision theory, information theory. So we worked with him in a very intense period of two weeks on this, interface to moral philosophy for token engineers, and tried to work it out, what he has created from those fields. Basically, how can we help us, enable us and every participant, not just go, the rational mind, maximize for efficacy, power, status, and number go up, but actually enable us to reason about what kind of systems we want with this new power that we have which is rewiring value flows globally. And this is basically, I need to go look at the clock. This is basically Fab4 Relate. It's about fundamental for assumptions that you fabulate. Be absolutely clear about that, and that your assumptions have nothing to do with reality. And reality is a very strange concept in itself. That's the fun part of this rabbit hole. It's very matrixy. But with those 4 assumptions and asking and answering, coming up with those actually gives you your worldview or your ecosystem's worldview, your participants' worldview, and you can check those your philosophy for consistency across various different worldviews, 8. So that really helps, and I think of it as an ensemble model. It helps you to see things more clearly. It helps you to quantify things or to think from first principles when things aren't always quantifiable, but sometimes intangible, intrinsic. And it helps everyone, like a compass, helps everyone to make decisions on these qualitative and dynamic processes that token economies run or shall run through, right, in the ideal. And most importantly, to check fluently, communicate fluently, check fluently for consistency across many different worldviews, like paradigms. And these worldviews actually define our values individually, but also as a collective. Again, especially important for governance, it is the ability to identify when these modes of reasoning are misapplied or hijacked, and then how to correct those. And basically, at the end of this process, come up with a common principle, like your community's common language that you can use to consent, create consensus, to feel together. This is just an excerpt, a tiny fraction excerpt from this day 3 of our ecosystem value flows course about games and governance, and that's basically the governance part. This is this new frame of reference that we introduced, and we are currently working on how to actually embed it into a process of token engineering, which helps us come up with this conceptual model first, which then can be in a pretty well-defined way translated into a mathematical model and then computer simulation. So the first thing we are aiming for right now is upgrading this agent-based modeling with Fab4 Relate. And again, we found a pattern from multi-agent systems, not ABM. It's not the same, but different. Anyways, in multi-agent system, we have this, we have the solution where we define beliefs, desires, and intentions of intelligent agents. It brings us beyond, for example, Monte Carlo. Let's see what happens. Beyond embedding simple logic into agents, utility maximization, right? What is utility? So there we have the ability using, inspired through this BDI agents, which you can look up if it isn't known. But using that same model or that same type of model, actually upgrading this BDI with something that really draws from the newest models that we have in the disciplines psychology and decision making, as well as all these newest models or integrated models of philosophy, ethics, and law. Yeah, and definitely with this, we are leaving flatland. We are leaving, we can have either rational agents or irrational goo. That is what, I personally, 2021, this is what I look forward to. That we say we have the possibility to create and capture a priori knowledge, as well as exploratory insights. It's not an either or. Okay, so basically, with a priori knowledge, we mean ground truths, and once we define those fundamental assumptions and the ground truths, how do we actually, that we get consent from or establish consent from every participant, and then have this process of constraint and cultivation of a culture that lives those ground truths, at the same time knowing that these will be changing, or that we might be wrong, and our goal is to be less wrong over time, that we combine these with the exploratory insights that you could say make almost no assumptions, look what the data is telling you, and basically stumble upon something like the categorical imperative by actually validating through simulations, through data from the real world deployments. Yeah, and basically what we said is we have needs, or we are basically going a bit away from, what is the motivation and what type of policy do we define and what type of behavior do we assume. We went, further up in the abstraction level, and basically identified this intrinsic, extrinsic motivation is created through needs, right? Needs of the human, and not some agent. And basically feelings or the reward is accepted by a human being through their feelings. It's either seen as a punishment or a reward, just because it created a feeling, and that feeling is really only brought forward whether I could fulfill a need or not. This is when feelings arise. And these are models that are accessible to us from psychology and decision theory, and so on. So we have, when we have questions, I can show how these new upgrades came together through our work within the data working groups, who are basically working on the invisible economy. And it took us, many working sessions of deliberation, and again, intense sessions with experts in those fields to actually bring this down to such ground truths. And then once we have identified, models from the fields of psychology, decision theory, we can bring those in, and the mathematical modeling again will be pretty straightforward, and we can exactly explain how and why we chose those policies, and use those models for modeling the behavior of an agent. And the agent also should have the ability to know what a community assumes my behavior will come from. So this is super important to actually capture this a priori knowledge and make that transparent in your conceptual model. That is, in my view, the ethical engineering part. And then, of course, the exploratory insights you will only get through experiments. Really, the data, how people really react. Games with participants can be helpful to, really make it fun and engaging and not threatening. And also somewhere where, things can't break because everyone is in the game. And then experiments and test networks and in test environments, and then still, take this mental model of, even if we're in production, we are within an experiment, because this is really cutting edge on a global information infrastructure. So how do we upgrade the conceptual model layout for token engineering? And I need to come to a close. But again, this will definitely be continued, and look forward to actually discuss this also further in the Q&A. But this is basically how we upgrade it. To the right, ecosystem value flows within the course. We tested this. It draws from quite, incremental improvements. Draws from, business model generation type of thing, and it basically really leads us to be able to define those stock and flow diagrams that are used in cadCAD, which we just dubbed value flow diagrams. And then from there, going to the mathematical modeling, it's a well-defined process in cadCAD with best practices, and really also best practices, outside of token engineering. It's really about how to go about modeling and simulation. So there we start from purpose, look at the ecosystem members and their motivation and motivation matrix. Why would they exchange value? What kind of valuables they bring in, and why would they exchange value within the networks? And that's how we come out at the end with those value flow diagrams. Now, in a course or in a working group setting, this is nice, this is really good and helpful, but we have to be clear that, those 4 token engineers coming together, or the founding team, or the core people trying to make sense, that they aren't yet the ecosystem. So how can we organize the sense making of a system that is between chaos and order, remote, definitely distributed system? How can we use, how can we extend that into a organization? And there, this chaotic organization that D Hawk came up with, again, is super aligned, and we basically discovered it in the Dada, or how Dada working groups were set up and how they created their processes. It just checked out pretty nicely, and basically, again, it starts with purpose, people, and principles, and from there you draw concepts, and from there, when the concepts are clear, you create structures, also legal structures, and then basically practice, which is execution, or it's not execution anymore. The idea of chaotic organization, or the core of it, is the acknowledgement that it's never done. It's a constant becoming. So that's why it's not about execution. Meeting your budget yearly and the planning of it, but actually a practice that is adaptive. And how do we use these 4 fundamental assumptions and 8 worldviews to actually make this mapping? Because again, it's very hard for oneself as an individual, but also as the community, to actually understand how do we form these answers, these assumptions. So the purpose thing is really what are we optimizing for, and then also to set it in context of egocentric, ethnocentric, and world-centric. Again, we are drawing this from a model that is integrated in Fab4 Relate. Who are the participants? Meaning, what are their needs that result in actions? And basically, these are, principles on one hand, or things that make value flow, their actions. And again, wrap that up with what are the prevailing worldviews, materialist, non-materialistic, etc. So we have a cheat sheet. It's still work in progress, and we're improving on it, and hope that it becomes part of a process that isn't very lengthy, but definitely it's worth a while to take your time, especially if you're not in a digital-only community, which is pretty homogenic. But if you're going this path of bridging worlds, cyber-physical worlds, or in the sense of, in Dada's case, for example, this world of creation art, and actually making it sustainable. So it starts with ethics, internal governance, legitimacy, and then we project that into formal structures, working structures, but also legal structures. And definitely to be continued. So we have the Dada case study that will be also part of the chapter for token metal generation in the book. The third cohort, we are, meeting with Angela tomorrow for planning whether we will have another one and when, etc. If we do, I will definitely hand out Electroseed Fund scholarships. This is one of my projects, or that project that keeps continuing, and we hit, these roadblocks where it just doesn't make sense to go on because we know we're going to break things. So definitely I want to apply this whole insight of the last year on Electroseed Fund again. And then the third part, as said, we make conceptualization and simulations more fun, more participatory, but also adaptive. There we have this new framework of electric circus. I'd love to go deeper into maybe next time, and a proof of concept basically, or something we are testing, which we call Impact Pirates. And with that, I am over time. So sorry, but at the end of it, and would love to take questions if we have. Or any curiosity. I hope this created.
So not a question, but a comment, because I think one of the things that you said was quite key, and that was, making finance a feature. It feels to me like at the moment finance is a goal, not a feature of these systems. And I think that mind shift is probably a prerequisite to actually getting to finance as a feature.
Yeah, and definitely that's also for me typically the investors ask you, oh, is this a product or a feature? It's a typical Silicon Valley question. And I have a feeling we have this, cargo called capitalism, which is post-capitalism. And we still go after those. But with this technology, if it enables anything, then it really enables the dispersion and embedding of finance into the things that we want to have and build. That creates decentralization. motivates decentralization, definitely. Okay, so I'm just going to flash useful links for the end. I don't know if it is still in the recording. Definitely
Yep,
want
still
to point out a few new. I mean, we started with the first token engineering hackathon last year around this time. The paper came out last year around November, October. It seems to be our blossoming time. And this year it was really, really super cool with the Foundations Bootcamp of cadCAD. These templates and cheat sheets make the usage and the understanding of it super easy. That was something we really missed. And again, there are a lot of relatively new and prototypical insights or helpful information that we collected, like this token engineering questions bucket. It's a list, cadCAD. Also, cadCAD and using it in token engineering commons has become Token Engineering Commons Lab, Tech Lab. Sean is leading it or kickstarting it, and a lot of the cadCAD of course a book, this crowdfunded book, of which one chapter is definitely focusing on token model generation and how can we use computer-aided design through cadCAD. What's the process? And again, how do we form our assumptions and check our assumptions? So these are the links, and
we might have to paste the links. So we might have to paste the links in the chat because it wasn't showing on the screen, I'm afraid.
Okay, but we also basically we will share the slides, right? And the links I can also paste it in the community Discord channel. Cool. So a lot to do in starting this year, and hopefully a lot with game-based environments.
Is James still there?
I don't know, maybe he has some issues with audio. Oh, no, but I mean, I don't think there was anything more to add with respect to links or announcements. I think there's a lot going on. Join the community channels to get your updates, and that's basically it. And we will definitely come back with what's in token engineering in the next few months.
Great, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you,
It's always
Sebnem.
great to come.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take good care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks.